There is a single nickel on my table. In 1955, that coin by itself still bought a bottle of Coca-Cola in a great many places, as it had for nearly 70 years, and the company was so unwilling to charge a dime that the company itself had asked the government 2 years earlier to mint a 7.5-cent coin. A whole evening out was built on coins like this one. I am going to leave it right there while we add up what a Saturday night actually cost, and at the end I will tell you what that coin is worth today. Come in, the porch light is on and there is a seat on the glider. I am Clara Whitfield, and this is where I keep the courtship of another America, told from the magazines, the manuals, and the price lists of the time, never from my own advice. Tonight, one Saturday night in 1955, and what it cost. Both sides of it. What the young man paid at the fountain and the drive-in, what the young woman paid before she ever opened the door, and who decided it should be that way. Here is how the evening will go. First the wages, because a price means nothing without the paycheck. Then the fountain, the movie house, the drive-in, the burger stand, and the jukebox. Each with its 1955 price where I can source one, and an honest blank where I cannot. Then the corsage and the dress and the hair, the side of the ledger the histories skip. Then the rules about who paid and where those rules came from. And at the end the sum in their dollars and in hours. Start with the paycheck. The federal minimum wage in 1955 was 75 cents an hour. It went to $1 on the 1st of March, 1956. The median American family earned about $4,400 that year. So when I tell you a hamburger cost 15 cents, hold it against 75 cents an hour. A young man sweeping up after school earned a burger every 12 minutes. That is the ruler for everything that follows. The evening often began at the soda fountain, which reached its height in the 40s and 50s, in drugstores, dime stores, and ice cream parlors. The Coke was 5 cents, or in some towns 6 by 1950, and the company had stopped printing 5 cents on its advertising in 1951. The nickel price had held since 1886. The last nickel Cokes were sold in 1959, and by then a bottle was 6 to 10 cents depending on the town. 2 Cokes, 2 straws, a dime or a little more. The nickel mattered so much that in 1953, the head of Coca-Cola, Robert Woodruff, petitioned the Treasury to mint a 7.5-cent coin so the price could rise without doubling. The coin was never made. That is the world this date was set in, a world where the price of a bottle of soda was a national fixture and raising it by 2 cents was a corporate crisis. Prices barely moved. Gasoline went up a penny or 2 a year through the whole decade. Then the picture show. The average movie ticket in 1955 was 58 cents. 2 tickets, $1.16. Hold that against the wage. An hour and a half of sweeping for 2 seats in the dark. 58 cents then is something like $5.30 today by the usual conversion, which is to say a movie was not cheap. It was simply the thing there was. The popcorn I cannot price for you from a source, so I will not. Or the drive-in. The first one opened in Camden, New Jersey, in 1933, charging 25 cents a car and 25 cents a person, capped at $1. Between 1948 and 1955, more than 4,500 of them opened. They peaked in 1958 at 4,063 screens, about a quarter of all movie revenue. What a ticket cost in 1955 varied by town, and I do not have a number I trust, so I will give you the shape. A car, a speaker on the window, and a price built to be cheaper than 2 seats inside. The speaker itself was the thing that made the drive-in work. RCA introduced the in-car speaker with its own volume knob in 1941, and the trade called it the biggest factor in the public accepting drive-ins at all. By the late 50s, the grand ones added miniature golf, pony rides, playgrounds, and a restaurant. So a drive-in date in 1955 might be the cheapest or the dearest evening on this list, depending on what the couple did with the hour before dark. After the show, the burger stand. In April 1955, the McDonald's menu had 9 items. A hamburger was 15 cents, a cheeseburger 19, fries 10, a Coke, root beer, orangeade, coffee or milk, 10 cents each. a milkshake 20. All 9 items together came to $1.14. The first day's receipts at the first franchise store were $366.12. A White Castle hamburger had risen from 10 cents to 12 in 1950, so a burger, fries, and a shake each for 2 was about 90 cents. In the booth, the jukebox, early machines had taken a nickel a play. By the 1950s, the price was commonly a dime, or 3 plays for a quarter, and the coin slot took nickels, dimes, and quarters in one mechanism. A 45 single to take home cost 89 cents at the list price printed in the trade paper in January 1955, and discount stores sold them for less. So the same song cost a dime to hear in the booth and 6 burgers to own. Most couples rented it by the dime. Other Saturdays went to the bowling alley or the roller rink. Bowling was in its machine age. The automatic pin setter arrived from AMF in 1952 and from Brunswick in 1955, so the pin boy was disappearing and the lanes were open late. A 1958 report called The Alleys the Poor Man's Country Club. Roller rinks had their own golden age from the 30s into the 50s, many with a live organ. What a game or a skate cost in 1955 I cannot source, so I will say only that both were built to be cheaper than the pictures. And the miniature golf course, which came back in the 50s. In 1955, 2 brothers named Lama began selling courses with the moving windmills and trick hazards that everyone remembers. It was the date for a couple who were not ready for the dark of a drive-in, and over all of it, the curfew. Towns passed youth curfew laws through the 50s and 60s, and families had their own, and the porch light was the clock, on at dusk, off when she was in. A boy learned to read it from the street. And the car, if he had one. Gasoline averaged about 29 cents a gallon from 1953 to 55, roughly $3.50 in our money. A Saturday night of driving to the fountain, the show and the stand, 20 miles in a car that drank a gallon every 15 was about 40 cents of gas, which is why the boy with the car had the evening and the boy without it had the porch. The histories of dating say the automobile moved courtship off the front porch and into the back seat, and the price of that move was 40 cents. I would like to know something before the other side of the ledger. What did your own first date cost, and what year was it, and who paid? Put it in the comments with the town if you like, because the fountain in Ohio and the fountain in Georgia did not charge the same, and neither did the boys. I read everyone. Now the side of this that the boy never saw. Because there was another bill, and it was paid before the doorbell rang. The dress, or the good skirt and sweater. The shoes. The hair, set the night before or done at the shop that afternoon. The stockings, which ran. The lipstick. None of it had a price on the menu board, and the magazines of the day, 17 among them, founded in 1944, sold a great deal of it by the page. I cannot give you a source total for her side, and I will not invent one. But it was real money, and it was spent first, and it did not come with a soda. Not every date was a teenager's. A married couple's Saturday had one extra line, the babysitter. The only wage I can source is from the war years, when sitters earned about 25 cents an hour, and I will not guess the 1955 figure. But the shape was that a movie and a supper for a couple with children cost the ticket, the plate, and the sitter, and the sitter was often the biggest of the 3. That is the part of the 1950s date that the magazines never photographed. And the corsage, which was his to buy and hers to wear, a gardenia, a carnation, sometimes an orchid, pinned to the dress or tied to the wrist for a formal, a dance, a prom. I looked hard for a sourced 1955 florist price and did not find one I trust, so I will give you the custom and not the figure. The gardenia was prized for its scent and bruised if you touched it. It was the one part of the evening that was entirely for show, and the one part she kept, pressed in a book, long after the ticket stubs were gone. Now, who paid? The histories of American courtship, Beth Bailey's above all, describe the shift from calling, where a young man visited a young woman in her parents' parlor and spent nothing, to dating, where the couple went out into the world of soda fountains and movie houses, and somebody had to pay. In that world, the custom put the bill with him, and the histories call it treating. A sociologist named Willard Waller, studying college students in 1937, described a rating and dating complex in which going out was about being seen going out. That is the system a 1955 Saturday sat inside.
Was it always him?
No. Many young women earned their own money by 1955, and going Dutch, each paying her own way, was a known phrase and a known practice, especially among working people and older couples. The manuals of the day, Amy Vanderbilt's 1952 book among them, had views, and I would quote them if I had the page in front of me, which I do not. What I can say is that the custom of him paying was strong, and the exceptions were real, and the girl with her own paycheck had more say than the system liked to admit. The date was arranged by telephone, and that had its own cost, in patience. Most Bell subscribers in the mid-century were on party lines, several houses sharing one line, so a boy calling to ask a girl out might be overheard by her neighbor, and a girl waiting for the call could not tie up the line. The phone companies ran ads asking for courtesy, and one wartime report recommended keeping calls to 5 minutes so the asking was public before the evening was private. That is a cost too, and the memoirs remember it. Some Saturdays cost almost nothing. The sock hop, a dance in the school hall with the shoes off to protect the floor, records on a turntable, a chaperone by the punch, and for the couples going steady, the tokens were free or nearly so, his ring on a chain around her neck, his jacket on her shoulders. By the middle of the decade, 3/4 of girls, and more than half of boys in the last 2 years of high school had gone steady. One principal said that, in his school, a girl either went steady or did not date at all. The cost of that was not in coins. One more thing, because the price list was not the same for everyone. Under segregation, the soda fountain, the movie house, and the drive-in were not open to every couple, or not on the same terms. Black Americans built and kept their own social and entertainment spaces, the theaters and clubs of what was called the Chitlin Circuit, the Apollo in Harlem, the Regal in Chicago, the Howard in Washington. So a 1955 date had a different map depending on who was walking it, and the cost of the evening was not just money. I am telling you that plainly because leaving it out would be a lie by omission. So the sum for the Saturday with a car: 2 Cokes at the fountain, a dime or 12 cents. 2 movie tickets, $1.16. 2 burgers, 2 fries, 2 shakes, 90 cents. 3 plays on the jukebox, a quarter, 40 cents of gas. Call it $2.83. Against 75 cents an hour. That is a little under 4 hours of work for one evening. Add the drive-in instead of the theater and it shifts. Add the Corsage for a dance and it jumps. But the ordinary Saturday was a half-day's wage, and in our dollars. The usual conversion from 1955 to today is about 12.5 times, so that $2.83 is something like $35 now. The 58-cent ticket is $5 and some, and the nickel on my table. By the same arithmetic, it is worth about 62 cents today. 62 cents for a bottle of Coke. In a glass, at a marble counter, with 2 straws. That is what it bought. Was it fair? Some of it was lovely. A boy saving a week of sweeping to buy an evening, a girl setting her hair the night before, a gardenia pressed in a book. Some of it was controlling, the whole weight of the evening resting on one wallet, and a girl's reputation riding on who paid for what, and some of it simply locked people out. I give you the rituals and the prices. What any couple should do about the check today is not mine to say, and I would not trust anyone who said it was. One thing to do this week, and it costs nothing. Ask the oldest couple you know what their first date cost, and where they went, and who paid, and whether there was a corsage. Write the numbers down. They will remember the price of the ticket better than the name of the picture, and that memory is a piece of history that is not in any book, because the books did not think to ask. And I would love to hear the rest of it down in the comments. Not just the price this time, what the evening was, a picture, a dance, a drive, whether he brought anything to the door, and whether anyone was waiting up under the porch light when you got home. I read every one of them, slowly, and some weeks they are the best history this channel has. The porch light stays on here, and the nickel stays on the table, because I like being reminded what a coin could do. The glider will be here next time, and so will I. Come back and sit with me. I will be right here on the porch.